All right, we're back. And let me get screen set up. I'm not quite ready. I think we are now. Welcome back to Devin with Dr. Firm. My name's Tony. And today we're going to continue on with our data pipelines in Q and Go. And with that, I will just jump right over to the code and subtract my background. And get all the screens in order. Okay. So yeah, last time we were working on our pipeline. This should be all fixed now. And we did essentially, we hooked it all up. We made a run command, which allows us to process a data pipeline that looks like this. You have some X and a Y, a series of tasks, pick, and then M1 and M2. You can see this is what the DAG actually looks like. Then we end up with a final task, and our system calculates dependencies automatically by being able to reference P1 to something like this. And so we don't have to tell it how to do it. It just does it. And we can see that this should still work. Right there, and that's more or less our expected output, other than that these two are in a new order. I did a few things off stream. I created a pull request for this to keep track of where we are. And I also made some ideas come out, just kind of brainstormed a bit. And let's see. The main thing, I also added our nil checks for flags and options in the structural helpers and functions that we use inside of tasks. So I think we're going to pick up, I want to make a subdirectory for all our actual task definitions. And this will mirror, so we have a pick.go. We might need a lock. There's a couple things I want to do before we expand any more of what we can do with it. I want to change a few things. I want to call this app pipeline. And I want to change these to task. I'm not sure why that got highlighted. Maybe we'll make this ST. ST tab, mask. That's just a name, and then we can have like more tags, like just general tags that we can use to like query later. I think we'll add that. You can see it here. So we need to come back up here and move this to ST. I'm not sure what we're going to do about this lock yet. We'll figure that out in a bit. Actually, I don't know if it... Maybe we'll make it structural. We also have absurd.go. It's going to be mask. So I'm trying to improve my posture today. Tables need to get a little bit closer. Okay, so we need a package here. Okay. Shouldn't need that. Oops. This needs to go up one. This will be our... Oh. The main thing is we need a global lock. Just because Q is not concurrency safe. I think... Actually, I wanted to try this. So we'll comment this out for now. And if we need to, we'll make a lock.go. We just need it in its own file or own package so that we can import it into all these tasks, because we're gonna have like a queue set of tasks. We'll probably have API and maybe DB. So then we need to get the attribute 0. Okay. Let me pull up these docs real quick. doing here? Sorry. Okay. First, want to say adder.num args equals 0. We didn't provide any args. We need to return. Well, first I guess we need to, if adder, let's just go n equals adder.name. If n does not equal task, return nil nil. And then we need t will be adder.string1. The first one is going to be the type. So then we can switch t. And we'll need to come up here. Oh, we could I mean, maybe we put the lock on this thing eventually. Let's do that for now. Let's at least put it here. Then we get rid of this anti-pattern. I believe. Maybe we want to. No, we just want a straight lock. Copy. What I don't, I want to know. This is what I think we need a pointer to it. Oh, I guess we can just do that. It's a pointer. I don't think this quite answers. And the thing is, we want to, for now, I want to see if Q dies on this stuff or if it's going to handle the concurrency. I don't think it does. Let's see. Yeah, okay, we still need to. It's going to be structural. Maybe we'll just make it ST so this stuff doesn't get as confused. I know you're not going to find it. You're searching the whole file system. pipeline tasks. Why is this? Okay, oh, we need to comment that out. And we don't need all this. Okay, let's see where we at. We need to come back to here. Awesome, it found it. Where's format Q? Oh. Let's just do it. Now we have nothing here. Okay, we got it now. I didn't do this one wrong, right? Okay, now we can. Uh, I guess here. Okay, let us try this out. Yes. Invalid task. Field does not exist. Seems reasonable enough. Let's make sure we're still producing this. Maybe task. Adder. Let's put that there. Field does not exist. Oh, I wonder if we're just hitting let's call this lock. What do I want to call it? I guess we'll just call it the lock since that's what it is. Sync dot. Put that there. That there. And then we want u dot lock. And then I think here we just need to pass in lock. Oops, let's rerun it. Oh, probably because we need to do this. Let's try it again. It does not exist. Let's just do this. I mean, that's gotta start. That's gotta start. That's gotta start. Was this right before? Come on. What broke it? Okay. Do we have something that prints errors better in this project? I think we do. Thought we did. Oh, we have this error.go. I mean, field does not exist. Nothing really changed that I'm aware of. Unless they're going in the wrong order. Guess we don't need this either. I mean, it's definitely going into run. Hmm. Wonder if that's where we're hitting. No, wait, got here. Okay. Oh, because stupid. There's only two hard problems in computer science: naming things, caching, and off by one errors. This should work now. Cool. then we should be able to do. All right, cool. Now we can go back and test out our. Maybe we'll do this. Let's try this. That works fine. I actually think it will. Guess we'll find out. Yeah, we don't even need a lock because we aren't writing to some shared value. That's kind of nice. Okay, let's just make sure we. Let's just go for it. Okay. Then we can go up here. We get rid of this. We recompile. We run and it works. Cool. So we don't even have to lock things. That's nice. Because your kind of queue flow is like coordinating those sync points between the tasks and making sure like when it fills, it's doing it one at a time. Okay, so what have we done? We have moved to a task name basis thing, and we've put our tasks in a subdirectory. Now I wonder. What I want to do is something like at print something like that. Print the out field on U1. Which would be R down here in this case. So that we can kind of clean up some of this. Not sure what we want to do in the face of an error. We probably just want to return. But let's get, what is S? This I'll just debug. Hopefully the attribute is still there. Cool. It is. If a dot error. Okay, let's just get this open because I want to get this over here. The question is, do we want a pound here? For I, comma, let's do this. That's really hard. Not what we want is okay. Just that. That should be fine. Print each. Maybe we should do that. Oh, and then we want %s. This is gonna be possibly redundant. Let's see if we can throw it out. Let's do this. If you let's make Q dot value. Whoa, Bash Bunny, thanks for stopping in. Uh, oh, this is like my biggest raid ever. Let me go big. Thanks for bringing all the peeps. So you can see I'm also writing Go. And if you want to see what we're working on, we got this project called Cuetils. I probably mentioned Q in your Slack. I mention it pretty much everywhere I go. It's this awesome new language, qlang.org. I think it's going to eat the DevOps world. It's like a better, you could use it as a better YAML or JSON. It's a fork of Go, as I mentioned, I think. But it's totally not like it. And what you can do is something, I'm doing something like this right here. I got some data, like an X. It's just your typical object, but like here you can see I can write types like strings. And I'm building essentially a data pipeline. And let me show you the other one. And the goal here is, I haven't had this much chat ever before, so thanks. I guess first time for everything. So what I'm doing here is I'm picking a sub object from another object. And you can think of this like JQ. And then you can think of mask as the opposite direction. And let's see. What do I have around here for tests? There's a bunch of different stuff. There's like a diff command. So if you want to, maybe I can just show the tests. I was going to mention that Go has this other really cool testing framework right in the compiler. Since you were working on testing, where do I have this under CLI. And then we can have, it works like this. You essentially write files, whatever they are. So this is for diffing two JSON things. And then you can execute commands. And so we're executing our command, diff A and diff B. And then we can compare like the standard out of that command against like some other file. And a typical pattern is to call like golden.standard out. And so we want to make sure that this matches like that. So there's diff, depth and count. They're pretty basic. Insert. And so I'm building this tool for like structural operations operations on structural data. And so I have all these different like building blocks that I use around places, and now I'm trying to construct them into a pipeline. And what's cool about this, Q has a DAG workflow engine hidden in its source code, kind of, that powers one of its subcommands. And so we want to do something like this. We want to define a pipeline and some inputs, and then have and Q and its engine and Cuetils will figure out that there's this little dependency between the different values, and it'll automatically compute them in parallel when it can, and give you the final result. So I haven't updated these. I'm in the process of changing. What was I changing? Not that. I'm changing it to @task. These are like attributes. It's like markup on your structured data. This probably looks crazy. Some of this anyway. Like, what is this here? This is just saying we have things called tasks and they're gonna have a key and some sub object, and that object is gonna have an out field, and it can have a bunch of other fields. And then so then we define tasks. It's got P1 and yada yada. And what we can do is, let me get the two terminals going here. Where was I? We can do Q eval ex02. And you can see it, what it's doing is actually merging them together. So you end up like with M1 having that outfield. And this is like, Q is not a typical programming language. It's a logical language. If you're familiar, there's like three large classes of programming languages. Imperative, which is pretty much what everybody uses, and then functional is another big one, and then logical is the third category. That's like Prolog and Qlang and a couple others. I've really only used Prolog before Q. And so the idea is you write down configuration, Q or schema. People are using this for a replacement to JSON schema. I'm using it for replacing Kubernetes manifests, and it'll merge them together and then tell you if what you've written is correct. And so we can, oops, I don't want that. I run this website here, Cuetils.com. I probably have some better examples here. Like look at types and values. So you have your typical programming language for structural types, or what do we call them? What are we calling them in Q? They're basic lists and structs. Scalars, we call them these scalars because we're talking about embedded scalars. Anyway, so there's this like top thing that represents, it's like any, and then bottom is kind of like error, because like null is actually a value. Maybe I should go back a section. You can do things like this. The lattice types or values. So there's this nice like types and values live in the same like world, let's say. It's called a lattice, and it defines the relationship between them. So you can have like a most abstract kind of value, and then you could put something like oops, lost it. Did we go too far? We might have, yeah. So you have like a schema, which is just like abstract types, and you can put constraints like the year has to be greater than something. And you can set actual values, so it could be this intermixed thing all the way to like a fully what we call concrete value. And so there's this spectrum, and it's super cool. So I'm using this kind of stuff. This is like more of like a schema. There's a slight difference between structs, which are without the pound sign, and a definition, as we call it, with a pound sign in the front of the name. And it's really just about openness and closeness, because a lot of times there's like two sides of the coin, right? You want to say like this object shouldn't have any extra fields able to be added to it, and the opposite of where you want to say this thing should be open. And so there's some cool sub packages or functions in Q that allow you to say like, is this schema backwards compatible with this other schema? And that's really going to be useful, I think, moving forward as we see this propagate out into more technologies. Like being able to say, hey, you made a change that's no longer backwards compatible. Like you need to like update things better, or update your semver and version accordingly, and tell your users things like that. This is kind of like you can only have one of these. Anyway, I invite you to check out Q. I think it's one of the greatest up and coming languages. For those who are familiar with Docker and Kubernetes, I guess Go. These things actually all were sort of born at Google, and Q was born at Google. It was sort of containers came first with namespaces and C groups, control groups in the Linux kernel. Docker came along and put a Go program around those kind of low level operators, written in Go. I think Go came out between the two. And then Kubernetes came out of Google as was their internal tools called Borg, and the guy who wrote the first, who's like the main author of Q, Marcel, he wrote the prototype to Borg very early on at Google, and then ended up being highly involved with Kubernetes, or like the development of Borg and the configuration languages that went around developing, containerized services at Google. And so this is the way he thought they should do it from the beginning, and they never did it this way. They went a different route. with their two main configuration languages. And so he's now left Google to work on this full time. It's amazing. I really think this language is like the best language, um, except that you can't program with it. So I use Go and Q. And since it's written in Go, like you get all the great things about Go. Um, so Q, I haven't had to read chat before like this. Sorry. Um, I'm still giant, aren't I? I've only been streaming like 8 days in this recent stint. Q it stands for configure, unify, execute. So in terms of like DevOps related stuff, it's seen a lot of usage there first. In what do I want to say? Like just replacing YAML and JSON. There's people trying to replace Terraform with it. I got something of a prototype towards replacing Helm or just Kubernetes. Do I have something here? Let me. I'm like Bash Bunny. I do everything on one computer. Um, let's see. What do I want to show? We can go to QDocs or my Q. I call that QDocs, but it's really tutorials. If we go in here, I'll show you this. This is how I deploy tutorials. That website I was showing you. We have a Docker, which is just build an image, push an image. Let me make this full screen. Docker push, and then we do this Q export, and we pipe that into Kubernetes control apply. So I'm just taking some Q and just piping it in, and that looks like this right here. This install, it's just a value. And it unifies with what's called, oh man, all these followers. This is all new to me, man. This is awesome. Thank you all so much. I'll keep you rambling. So this schema list is a Kubernetes object. It's a list of resources, and it's very if you do a list out of the Kubernetes API, it's the same type. Ingress service deployment, and then we have these shared values. This is kind of where the idea of Helm comes in. And if you're familiar with Helm and Kubernetes, there's this idea of templating YAML files, which I find absurd. I actually found Q when I hacked imports into YAML, which was another bad idea. But so replacing Helm is on a top priority, project for a lot of people around Q, because it's dumb to text interpolate a language with invisible scoping characters. But this is your values.yaml file. And if you're familiar with these things, it's just you can see we're pulling values. I don't have to repeat myself. I just reference the port from my service, so it knows. It just lines up. And here, this is string interpolation, so you can weave the data together. The hosts come from somewhere else. This is just a very simple static website, Hugo plus Nginx, to just serve static HTML out for that. Anyway, back to what I'm working on. Let's see. What was I doing? I had a GitHub issue open. So I'm building this DAG thing, and what I wanted to, I'm not going to do it yet, but I'm going to do this. All the noises in the ear. Thank you. Maybe I should give a shout out to everybody. Let's see. Where do we start? No Good Nick. Thank you for following. Maybe I can get it over here too. Can I see it? I got this open on 2 windows. I'm actually across 2 computers right now. What's your? Oh man. Yeah. So do you know Terraform? Okay, I got questions to answer. Let me go through these follows real quick, and then I'll get back to the questions. I'm just rambling. I'm not used to paying attention to chat. No Good Nick, thank you for following. Cotter, thank you for following. Code Custard, thank you for following. I appreciate y'all. Feld of Allen, thank you for following. Bash Bunny, super thanks for bringing the crazy raid. Uh, Stagecraft WC3, Vladimir Cabrera, thank you all for following. Let's see, Gary Mevs, thank you for following. I'm gonna say that's Track Crossing, if I got that right. Muslix, Andrew SC1, fellow DevOps, thank you for following. Nathan Prince, Salah Wurzel, thank you for following. I'm sorry if I butcher any of your names. DG, Harry, thanks for following. Zenith, 1990, thank you for following. And Pickle Light Bright, thank you for following. Okay. Let's see, where we Q versus something like Pulumi. So Q is a language that you could build tools in. Um, it's in the declarative family. So if you put like Q and Terraform, well, Terraform in one family of declarative, like infrastructure as code. I guess they're both infrastructure as code. We have declarative and imperative. So Terraform is imperative. You kind of just like write, and Kubernetes is declarative largely. You kind of write what the system should look like, and then the system makes sure it looks like what you want it to. Versus imperative, I think Pulumi is more imperative. I haven't really worked with it. Um, I'll come back to Q on this in a second with a philosophy thing, but you write like JavaScript or Go, or there's like a handful of languages you can use now, and you're kind of it's pretty close to declarative, but you're still writing in a language. I guess my biggest question about Pulumi is like, if you have two teams and they want to share Pulumi modules, do they have to use the same language? Can you share modules across languages? I'm not exactly sure, because then you have this like if you're going to run this stuff in CI, then you have this dependencies of your environment in run or in your CI for N languages. And so certainly back to Q, the philosophy of Q is that you should wrap code in data, not data in code. Um, that's why like Q you can't program. There's uh, no recursion. There's no like assignment operator. So you don't set values. This isn't like setting values. You're just stating facts, and it's like putting them together to make sure they're all coherent and congruent with each other. Yeah, so yeah, Terraform. You can actually write Terraform in JSON. I haven't really done much of that myself. Um, let's see. That's from Collar. I hate writing Terraform, but at least not as much as forever. So interestingly, CloudFormation is being like the AWS resources are being replaced, and they're like cleaning up CloudFormation. There's new JSON schema for it all, and one of the dev over at AWS is like learning Q and he's gonna push to have Q be the language for the AWS like cloud configuration with their next version. So we're like really super excited in the Q community about that. I mean, he's a DevRel, and I'm not sure where he sits in that sort of like corporate hierarchy and how much like he can affect that process, but hopefully he does. Q is still pretty young. You can run the Q tool and you can use it from Go. You can actually there's a playground as well. Like Go compiles to WASM, so it's super easy to use Go in the browser or Q in the browser. Though it's not like as easy. There's a like kind of like a foreign function interface. Um, yeah, Q is the better way forward. Coder or Coder. Do you say it Coder? Is that right? My chat stopped. Oh man, it's still going. Let's see. Yeah, Q is such a like more concise way than writing YAML. Plus, you get those like references without the crazy like carets and like stars for YAML. You can do references in YAML. Um, an SE that you follow. You can. I've written Kubernetes like cluster services, and then you use the client Go for Kubernetes. It's not necessarily a bad way, but yeah. Um, Sometimes you need to programmatically. You want to run an API service if you're gonna like deploy things on like in Kubernetes with a like through an API. Like somebody should be able to make an API request and something happens in your cloud. Like you gotta end up writing code anyway. Um, so no hating on writing Kubernetes manifest and Go. I do it sometimes, mostly for cluster services. But if you write like a Kubernetes like a CRD and you need to write the implementation for that custom resource definition CRD. That's one of the cool things about Kubernetes and why it's so powerful is that they like you can add to the API and the resources that Kubernetes knows about. Um, you guys are chatting about imposter syndrome. I don't know what that is. I don't know what you're talking about. Uh, yeah, but if you could write Terraform in Q and then pipe it, export it as JSON, and then pipe that into TF, you can write Terraform in Q. That's the idea. I'm not familiar with the like how you kind of map some of the like because HCL is its own language. Um, I don't like that whole like for each thing in HCL. Q feels like much more ergonomic for anything like where you want to like have a list of something like we call them comprehensions. If you're familiar with functional programming, Q also has like a huge like influence from the functional language world where there's like if statements, but they're actually called guards, and that you conditionally include facts, and then you can comprehend like facts from other facts. That's a for loop. I don't know if too many in the Q world use the word fact. I like to use it because I think it's like closer to Prolog and what you're kind of doing. HTML is actually Turing complete, I believe. So you can program in Turing or in um, HTML. Q is a programming language in the sense that it's like a full-blown language with like a compiler, and it's kind of more like I don't want to say interpreted, but order doesn't matter in Q. So like it doesn't matter which if I put Y before X or X before Y or I sort these around, it's all the same. Um, and so Q is a programming language, but there's different types of programming languages. And so Q, I guess if you define programming language as you can write a program which recognizes statements in that language, just getting into like finite automata theory and all that kind of stuff, regular languages and all that kind of jazz. There's some cool courses on YouTube about that stuff. But it's not a Turing. Q is not Turing complete. It is intentionally Turing incomplete, so that you can't write programs and whatnot. Let's see. I think I'm almost caught up in chat. Biceps is an ARM replacement. Is that hardware? I'm not sure. Andrew SC1. Happy Sunday, Tyrell. How's Mexico? I almost forgot who you were, Tyrell. Tyrell, yo. Yeah, if what I made, I'm thrilled that you think what I said just said makes sense. That's cool. See, I see ARM and I think the ARM architecture. I haven't looked that up. What is bicep? Yeah, the DevOps world is like you see a lot of this. Oh, we got two more. New Max 4. Thanks for the follow, and Singo. Thanks for the follow. I appreciate you all coming along today. This is a surprise. Happy Sunday to everyone else. Yeah, okay. Am I on the right page? I think so. That URL matches up. Let's see. C Caesar 88. Thank you for the follow. Let's see. I was gonna say before I skim this, the DevOps world has been like dealing with YAML for too long, and we need something different than YAML. And There's a lot of experiments in language. I mean, like even HCL, while it's like relatively widely adopted, like there is a limit to that. Um, and it's not like the de facto. I don't know if you know the phrase 0 to 1 um, from who did 0 to 1? Tyrell, you know this answer. Is that Peter Thiel? I think did 0 to 1. I think. Don't quote me. Morning Monday morning. So yeah, I think there's a number. Pulumi is another like instead of writing configuration, we write programming language. And I think Pulumi will be successful. I don't personally. I haven't evaluated enough to have problems with it, other than like it violates the whole Q philosophy of wrap code in data, not data in code, and so I've stayed away from it for that reason. Um, I'm in the very declarative camp of things. Um, the main thing I work on, if you see it down below, in my about section, I was writing what we were watching Bash Bunny. Um, is this Hofstadter Hof project? I should just go to docs.hofstadter.io. If you all want to give this a try out, I call this the. I would super appreciate it and hear your feedback. And join Slack because it's better than Discord. Tell me there. But we call it the high code framework. Low code for devs. If you're familiar with low code, like being able to like essentially build applications while writing less code. A lot of times, like low code is now like a marketing term, and the idea of drag and drop apps or like low code email, like mailing lists and things like that. But what's low code for devs be? And I built it as this like flexible data model and code generation system. And so, Bash Bunny was writing a CLI this week. Um, and so this program in itself is a CLI, and we can look at like what that looks like. This is a generator. We're just saying, hey, this is a generator. We're going to put it in the current directory, and it's going to be this CLI thing. And like this is like the schema for a generator that Hoff understands. And then we define our CLI. It's the schema from the same generator. This what we call a Hoff mod CLI. Like we have a bunch of different Hoff mods, and this one's for generating a CLI from this declarative syntax. Typical stuff. Then you have commands. You got flags, and then you got different types in here. These are a lot of different flags. There's a lot of flags to this thing. You define things like releases, author, homepage, like what's the GitHub repo, where's your Docker, because this uses Go Releaser behind the scenes. If you're familiar, it's just a tool that takes Go code and cross compiles it for all the platforms and can upload it to like GitHub and wrap it in a Docker image and put it on Docker so you can run it in a container. And then you just have things like, hey, can this tool check and fetch updates for itself? And that's just a bool. And then you have commands. They take args, kind of a thing. And so if we do something like, did I change something here? I don't want to change anything. Yeah, so getting back real quick before I do this, like we could just do Hoff gen. You see nothing happens, but like also nothing changed. It is actually outputting this directory here, all of this. So you have all your commands, and we could look at something like, where's our pipeline? All I wrote in this file were these 4 lines. The rest is auto-generated. As are like being able to hook up tests to this thing. I'm not sure how that works right now. If that still works right now, I think it should, but I was working on a scripting language or a replacement for Bash at one point. That worked well with structured data. What are we doing here? Hope I'm clicking too many buttons. So there's that, and then if we look at What I've been mostly working on my stream is this first example here. I've been going through these sections. I've got the first three done. I took a brief detour this weekend to work on Cuetils. Um, but in this walkthrough, it will take you through like getting set up with Hoff and take you through all these things. And we're going to generate a simple Golang server, and then it'll show you. Oh, maybe I should just go back here. So you would fill in. This is like the schema for a server: name, port, routes. You want Prometheus, and routes are pretty basic. Name, path, method, and this is a very simplified version of a server for now. And we kind of like make this whole like schema and then the generator. So essentially, what's happening is you write some like configuration, and then you attach it to a generator, and whoever writes the generator writes some like a schema, and essentially, like I was talking with Helm, text templates. You essentially just pump data through text templates and generate files. And Hoff is just doing this at like what I would say like the file and directory level rather than just like single like text snippets. Like there's a lot of like extra stuff going on around it, but it's really just like reading two directories and mashing them into another um, with some cool logic. But the way I've designed it and what makes it kind of like low code for devs is two things. I think is that like you can create your own generators and like usages of those generators, and they're like composable and shareable as external modules, so you don't have to change Hoff to create your own like or like your own module for like a server in a different language or technology. So it's really agnostic to whatever technology you want to use. And then the second part is like I was saying, I'm like writing code in the output generated output, and what it's doing behind the scenes is like keeping a shadow copy, a shadow copy of the generated code, and then it can tell like what you've written and what it's written. And so like as you change either side of that, it can keep them in line, and so you don't break your code because like programming is like iterative. You don't know what it's going to look like at the beginning, so you want to be able to like change your design, write some code, go back and change your design, and keep writing code, and go back and forth. And like that's why I think it's like and also you can use your own editor. Like I can use Vim for low code, and or you could use VS Code, and whatnot. So anyway, that's Hoff in a nutshell. I invite you to check out those docs and such. Um, any new chat? You guys been quiet, just listening. How many years has everybody been programming in chat? How much of this is like comprehensible versus like over your head? I think I'm still attached to chat. I'm not muted, am I? I don't think so. Anyway, so I hear once chat gets going, you get distracted. This is my first time really experiencing this. What was I doing? Yeah, I do DevOps part time for a we call it a healthcare company. We're trying to hire right now for DevOps. Like whisper at me on here or on Slack if you're interested in applying. It's a super cool startup doing ML, machine learning in the hospital. It's like a very, it's like a entry level junior DevOps position or like mid. It's kind of like somewhere in that range. And quick pitch for this work: it's Google Cloud, Jenkins, Terraform, Ansible, Packer, Kubernetes. It's a lot. It's breadth. You'd be like the second person, and we got like a lot of everything from running cloud stuff to managing DevOps, like the build system, which is Jenkins, to helping developers deliver their software. So it's like a mix of like DevOps and developer experience for our internal devs to help them. And the cool thing about this company is that they're deploying machine learning into hospitals, and in doing so, they're saving lives. Like it's in part of the company reports, like how many like clinically significant events that they're having. Like the doctors are changing what they're doing. So what they do is they run a quality tracking platform of sorts, and the doctor does their thing. They write notes. They have patients go into scans, and they look at those scans and make determinations, and all that stuff ends up in your like medical in their medical database or patient database. And once the doctor's made a decision, all that information together gets sent into the company's platform, and it will double check the doctor, essentially saying like, hey, you might have missed something, like you want to take a second look at this. And that's where they're having like a meaningful impact on people's lives, improving like quality of care and patient outcomes. Super cool stuff. And there's a ton of machine learning around. You get to help. It's like you're not going to be doing just one thing. You're going to help define the direction. There's security work to be done. Right now, so coming back to what I was working on. I got this plan for like being able to do API stuff. I guess there's this one thing that like most Twitch programming streamers do is like write a Twitch bot, and so I'd like to get this pipeline functionality in the place where it could, as part of the stack, we can make API requests and like then maybe receive API requests and run a pipeline to do something. Um, so then I got to thinking like, well, could I do OAuth in this? Can I make like a little like ad hoc OAuth stuff or OAuth pipeline? So when you like have these ad hoc OAuth needs, like I'm trying to set up 2FA on VMs, right? So that like you have to use like a hardware key or you know a one-time password to log into your cloud VMs. Um, when I was setting it up, it like we didn't take the configuration option to remove the domain suffix, so my Unix username on the only mine on dev machines is like 20 characters long, and it's super annoying. And the only way it's editable, but the only way you can do it is through a Google API that doesn't have like a UI front end right now. And in order to access this particular API, you need to have OAuth workflow. And so you have to write like just to make one API call, we have to implement OAuth. I'm like, can I fix this problem? Yeah, I feel like I've been missing. Let's see. So, forgetting about chat again. So we got people doing DevOps, been doing it for a while. I think the two DevOps infra people, Coder and Andrew. Pixelite, Lightbright. I remember that as a kid. Just started recently. Go is a fantastic language. It's minimal. It's one of the smallest languages out there, and it was written to not to be a fancy new language, but to be a language in the service of software engineering. And I think it really succeeded there. I think it has the best dependency management system. I actually wrote a generic version of it for Q, at least until Q has a proper one. No real programming in 10 years. Gotta keep those skills up. You do a little Python though. Am I familiar with Bottle? Not like bottles from Homebrew, right? Where you tap. Let me see if I can find this. You should be able to. I think you can post links in here. I don't have a problem with it as long as you're not doing spam. Windarn, yeah. Places for Q. Is that what you're asking? Pickle Light Bright. See, I keep wanting to say Pickle Rick or some variation on Pickle. Go. Go is particularly useful for. I mean, it was written at Google for Google scale problems and running like microservices and having like effectively using cloud scale hardware and software. So it does really, really well on the back end of server. A lot of times like servers that aren't I mean, it does serve like web client back out. A lot of like internal systems and moving. Uh, so APIs and like shipping bytes, like Go is fantastic about shipping bytes. Like if we look at something like you wouldn't know it, but let's see, let's tree Hoff shadow into word count line. Oh, so when we do Hoff gen, get out of there. We time this and we do just time it. And like feels slow. It's because Q is a little bit slow. I should do the stats part. Oh, it's probably still not gonna work. But like it's reading and writing like hundreds of files in like not a lot of time. Don't pay attention to that because Q like loading and like processing Q still takes a while. There's some optimizations coming, but Go is really great at like moving bytes around. That's one place I see it really useful. So servers, and then the other big place is Bash Bunny was mentioning is like for CLIs, because you can go from any platform. Go can compile for any other platform. So when it's on, it can from Windows, it can compile for Linux, and vice versa. It can compile for x86 against ARM or vice versa. It runs on, and so this ability to run cross-platform makes it really awesome for CLIs, and it's super fast. It's it's fast enough that you don't have to go down to C for other things. And being such a minimal language, there's two other things I like about it is that it's minimal. It only has like 27 keywords. Maybe I'll list a few things. I don't know how many it's going to end up being. It's going to be more than two now, but they have like Go format, which makes everybody's code look the same. So that's really nice, like, because most of the time you spend time reading code, not writing code, and so like being able to read and understand code, that's definitely like a win. Like when everybody's code looks the same and like you're not arguing about curly braces on this line or the next line. There's Go Doc, which just generates documentation from the Go source code automatically. You don't need a secondary tool to do that. What was I forgot my second reason. Put a couple in there before. It's minimal. Shoot, I don't remember. And yeah, I guess another reason is that the Go tool is more than just a compiler. It's doing like a whole bunch of things together, and so like that in the service of software engineering, it's more than just the language. It's like the tool and the ecosystem around it. And I think Go did really, really well there. Plus, it's written by gods. Like if you know the history, like who wrote Go and like the history of what they've done. They wrote Unix, they wrote C, they wrote UTF-8, Plan 9. They were all working at AT&T Bell Labs back in the 70s. And that was like in the 70s, that was where all the cool computer stuff was going on. Rob Pike, Ken Thompson, like gods. This is their going away present, I think. I think Ken Thompson already retired. Yeah, so kind of got distracted. I gotta think about what I was doing again. Let me get some water. Oh wait, maybe I'm confused about Tyrell if you're still out there. I might have confused you with somebody else. It's very close to somebody who followed just before, and that's a good friend of mine. I was gonna add more tasks, but then where's my GitHub issue? I didn't even get a chance to look at go through this stuff and let me know what you think. If you have the time and want to learn something cool I've been working on, all my stuff's up on GitHub for sure. I'm a prolific open source developer. Right, I need to go back here. We were working on Cuetils. That's right. I forgot I edited my all that about section down here, and I don't get. Oh, there's my hands. I got this like background cutting out stuff. Let's see. Issue pull request. This is what I'm working on. So we started this. We haven't done the tags yet. I did a print. Probably do logs another time. Maybe not. If you guys want to try and make an API call with this pipeline, do some things with it. I actually have, I think, something I can copy over. I'm planning to make like a Q-powered like API testing or like API utility suite, like for testing APIs, but also benchmarking and doing like user stories. If you're familiar with like Vegeta or Gatling or like PyRest test or Postman, these all like serve part slightly close but different parts of like full on API testing. And it'd be a lot like, and then I think about configuring any of those things, and I think anytime I think about configuring, I'm Q. So I want to write something like that. So I've been doing some experiments, and I have some prototype testing HTTP stuff around here. I wonder if I could just like pull this in. We won't for the sake of keeping things simple. Oops. I don't think we need that. Maybe we'll just trim that down. I think this is older, so I think I want, oops. I think I want these to be capitalized. Is there anything that needs to change here? I don't think so. Maybe we want to be able to turn it back into a Q value, possibly. Do I have some Postman.q? Oh, that's right, because I'm using Postman to, because the old JSON echo is not working anymore. Or there used to be a site you could like make API calls to and it would return stuff. Coder, have a good night. Hope you're still here to hear that. Oh, did I mess this up? Maybe I bumped my camera. Now you can see my hands. Check out my about. Just wrote it today. Let's see. So this is the kind of stuff I would like to be able to do. you could have like a suite of API calls, um, and then have like tags on them, so you can be like just run the basic tests. This is old. I'm gonna rewrite a bunch of like what this user experience is like, but in general, you should be able to like, you can build up like here's a base request, here's base get, and so we're saying like, hey, we're gonna use the same host for everything, and then we're gonna merge base request with this here. So it's all these are like all of our gets into base get, and then we use base get down here, and we can like add a query, and then we can like check the status, or unify like what we expect the response to be against what it is, and fail if it's not the same. I know this is relatively old, and maybe I think there were some bugs in here, but maybe they're gone now. The queue is like a couple minor versions newer. But what I'd like to do, let's do this. Test-driven development. Hoorah. Let's say API. And I'm not exactly sure what's going to come back, but if we judge based on this, cow string, let's say, and then R1 should be request, and then what else we probably need. Right, they all get out. I need to figure out where to put this more permanently. Oh, right, I'm in two different terminals now. So we're gonna have this request. Copy. And this should be. I don't think I'm going to worry about doing that. We'll just leave it as a plain struct. This is what we're going to pick out. Come on. This should be R1 dot out. I think we could do something like response is out. I don't know if that's actually going to work. Might need a little bit more. Yep. Spell it out. There we go. cool. Then we need the actual implementation of this. I think it's all in here. I suppose if we are just do I want to call it API call or API request? Tell you naming things. It's one of the two hardest problems in computer science. You see, Cuetils, the program, started as well, I guess it's just a name overlap. It actually started as this directory. And these are just like helpers. Where are we using this value to syntax string? Is that it? Let's get rid of that. Because, yeah, at the same time, this is built on the Go testing stuff that maybe if you came from Bash Bunny, she was working on some of this stuff. We don't want that. We're gonna have to rename all this stuff. It's all built on the testing stuff. All right. Build requests, make requests. So one of these tasks is really just this is the definition of a task right here. And then we're attaching that to a struct so that we can have some custom data around. So what we need is a type call task. Okay, we're gonna want all of this, I think. Before I go too much further, I want to remove all these print statements. I think we only have request here, right? What did we write in our pipeline? So we want to be really more clear about that, and that we're taking something off the response. But I believe Um, Maybe we could just do this. I still have to define a schema for all these tasks eventually. But for now, we're skipping that. So we need the hashtag request definition. Oh, I'm editing the wrong thing. Okay. We don't need any of that. We don't need any of that. We don't need that. Right. And then that's I remember what I was doing right before everybody piled in. We were, I think it's in here. It's in none of the places. So let me just clean this one up real quick. I was trying to print the values on demand. That should be okay. Don't need this. We'll figure that out when we actually hit an error on a dependency. That all looks good. Because what I was doing, I was down in Cuetils. I thought I put this in somewhere. Maybe I just did it the one time, so we need. Right, maybe print adder, tills dot, print adder res. Are we still compiling? If you're interested in about these like different commands I have, these are I call these jump commands. It is the jump files thing down below. But essentially they are a bash thing. You just load this into your bash profile. So the whole thing like hooks it all up. So I have a number of what I call jump files. And they should have their own location. And the big idea here is that you have these three commands: question or help to cat the file itself. So you have a very easy help method to see what you can do. You have edit, which runs your editor, in this case Vim, on this file. So you can quickly add new stuff to this file. And then you have reload, so that once you save and exit, you can just do like CR to reload. And now you can start using that new thing you added. So I have like a lot of these are just CD, just jumping around. Some stuff related to like Vim syntax highlighting for Q. And then I've added some functions like, and all these are doing is just pushing a directory, running a command, and popping out. And so like what we're doing here is we're pushing into this repository Cuetils command, Cuetils, running go install, and then popping back out. So I can be in any directory and build a program. I have this for a number of programs I work on. So I don't have to like jump around terminals. I wish chat had timestamps. Does it have it over here? Is it just my OBS is not hooking up to the Twitch. Just keeps saying connected to chat, though I can see how many viewers there are. If I refresh chat, still not connecting. I don't know. This is why I need to write my own Twitch bot so I can have my own stuff and make sure it works. Yeah, and then if you were there when Bash Bunny was talking about secrets and like being careful with them, we can do ls into grep jump files. I think we just do this. Let me just double. I just don't want to list all of my home directory, but I can list some of it. Oh, right, they are hidden files, so I need to. Let me just run this over here. So you can add in custom jump files. These are actually loaded in my bash config. These are like the entry points, but I have a secrets one, and this actually I think it actually has like functions for switching between different. Like I have auth for the H command. It's auth, and then I have an F command, and so I can jump between different like auth configurations, and it'll remove the old ones and put new ones. So you could do. I mean, in theory, since it's just bash, you could just do like something like that or prod and jump between the different things. I should go back to Hoth. That's one of the contexts I typically keep myself in. Anyway, we're trying to print these attributes. And we want to get back into our... No, where are we? We're in Cuetils. So let's just make sure our program is not working. Wait, what is wrong with print? Oh, right, because this is what I was working on. This is like a maybe print. And what this is really trying to do is here, I don't want to print all the intermediate stuff. I only want to print like on this the final result. So we're going to get a val. We're going to get the value attribute, and then that one should be v. V. So we're looking for the print attribute. If it has it, print anything in there and return nil. Is that saved? Res and utils. Why are you not? Maybe this should be foul. We need to go back over here and look at. Okay, we're passing it in red, so that should be fine. The context, this value here is whatever, like I'm defining this is a task, so it's just going to be this value. because we are in utils. I'm going to use the function right next to us. Bang, boom, utils. I'll call it dag. There's aliases. X2. Okay, it didn't print. Maybe I need to. Okay, so it's print the whole thing. Maybe we should just real quick. I think this will print attributes as well. Maybe the result doesn't have it on it. But I need the attribute. So before we were looking at the t dot value. What if we do this? Oops. Wrong. Undefined v. That should be foul. Did I not update the others? Okay. Let's keep ourselves consistent. I think just want to address. I guess I use single letters because that's like what people like to do in Go typically. But I think people still write longer names. But I know what's going on here. This is a short amount of code. I don't need long names. I guess. I definitely prefer shorter names. the same thing here, so that it's at least consistent between all the tasks. And hopefully we can get this thing mask. Right, I missed one. Cool. All right, now let's see. Okay, it's printed it now, which is good. Now we can clean up some more of the output. We don't need all of that. There, cool. Now I think if we do something like this, you might see two prints. Yeah. So we should be able to. Maybe I should put like improve this command eventually. So we start here. This is the result of our pick. And then let's make sure everything looks like we expect it. This one. We pick out A, B, C, and D from X. And we get capital B, 2 and D. Then we are going to mask out the C. So you can see that it's like these two are running in parallel. And so they're kind of actually out of order. So this is M2 where we masked out A. And yeah, we masked out A. And then we masked out C. And then we merge them back together and we get the same object back. But that was just for funs. Now what we want to do is make sure we get down to one terminal. Maybe it's break time or something. I need some more water. I will be back in a second. And let me do this. You will go to the away. Is that going to go? Did it do it? I can't tell. Is it not working? Why is my stream deck not working? Oh, it is working. There we go. Maybe I'm just confused. And then Blair. Oh, by the way, I gotta go for two. I actually have another one up here. Let me get it. All right, let's see. Back to the code. Back to the subtraction. And here. Cool. Got that much working. So the next thing we need to do is make sure we can actually create this task. So maybe I could show you real quick how this runs. So essentially, we're providing a file name. You could actually provide multiple file names. I don't know if I mentioned Q allows multiple files to be input at the same time and merged together along with imports. So you can have actual proper imports in your configuration languages. So that's essentially what I'm doing here. I'm actually accepting some globs. And we have a function that just reads them into values. And then we're gonna do something to all those values, which is, in this case, we set up a flow config. And this is where I probably need to, maybe we could do this. Well, let me just make some notes. Probably need to, oops, walk tree looking for a pipeline tags. We're gonna eventually try and run pipelines based on the tag or name. And we also want to be able to compose these things. And a pipeline in itself should be a task so that it could be like a one-liner in another pipeline. That's where I want to get OAuth down to one line in a DAG. So you can be OAuth with this application and make this call. It should just pop open your browser, make you click on something. No need for fancy front ends. At least in an ideal world. We might need to click a button. But I don't think so. I was watching, what's his name? He's another programming streamer on here. I don't remember what it was. Okay, so we need to look at that. And then we need to make the root a path to the... And this would work, I think, generally. Because right now we're just looping over the top level value. There's really only one. We're passing here and looking for tasks. But we could just make this. We'll have to figure it out later. We might have to do some fun walking. And inject some dependencies, I'm not sure. Anyway, we set up some config. We've already got our value loaded. And then we register our task factory with create, or at least create a new workflow from our config, our value, and our task factory. And then we just run it with a background, print any errors, and it will print anything if it needs to. So that's the entry point to this whole pipeline stuff. And then the factory is going to get the value, and it's going to get an attribute. So the workflow engine will walk the tree for us. And maybe we'll have to look for pipeline here. I'm not sure. But it'll essentially walk the queue tree until we tell it we found a task, and then it'll like record that task and then sort of unwind and keep going where it was. It won't walk down into a task. Which is why, like, I think we can't necessarily treat it like as a task. We might have to build a workflow of workflows. I'm not going to do that now then, because that's a little bit more complicated. I might want to do some experiments before doing it on stream. Let's see. So let's make our API call task. And because I'd like an API serve at some point, because we're going to need that for OAuth. So we need a callback handler. But at least we got namespacing going on. Okay. Does this compile? Want a Gamba? I wish we could Gamba. Apparently need to get affiliate before I can have channel points, I'm told. Maybe we should make this a capital T. I don't even know if this is like a legit Go tag, to be honest. I don't know why we got these JSONs here. Okay, so this is where we want to do something different. Only need... Oh, that's right. I was doing this in the mask file where I wasn't supposed to be. That's why I remembered doing this before. I have API response. Run case. Okay, no, we don't need any of this. But we do want this. Why are we using T? We're using T through all of this. Do we see any tester values? I would expect some maybe in here. Data context. Why are we compiling? Oh, we can get that from the value. We're not even going to call that right now. We just want to make an API request from our pipeline. Oh, we might need to do that. make request. Oh, so much code to write to fix. We don't need this. Probably take all of this. This is where we need to put our code. Okay, we got a request. Don't need that. I think we'll just take a value. Take a value. Let's just call response actual for now. Don't think we're using any of this stuff. I think it's just for consistency level with the other testers I have in that system. Oh, we were going to put this under response. Okay, we don't care about any of that actually. What do we think, chat? Is it going to work? 0 deaths first time. It's going to make our API call. Nope. But that doesn't mean the code doesn't work. It just means we didn't write our data appropriately. Hey, look at that. We got a 200. That's exciting. Okay, let's see if we can print this better. Task API call. So we get our actual value back. It's some sort of go struct. What were we doing? There's something about turn it into JSON somewhere. So check response. This is expect. Where's our actual? Let us look at Q's docs. I think We might have something for this. Yeah, let's see if this works. Do we have an example of this somewhere? Oh, right. This still runs on the old stuff. Oh, maybe there is something new over here. Yeah. I think this is what we want. So we should be able to do something like... Maybe they should just return. Maybe we should do it here. Although I like having the go request. Go. I'll leave it that way for now. This code may need some cleanup. Let's see. Oh, interesting. What if we actually, before we do this, what if we put an app? Come on, app print response here. The fill function may be doing this for us. No? What? Where are we printing that? Okay, we're printing it here. Oh, maybe if it would help. We should probably do something like this. After fill. Oh, okay. That is a bit much. It works. Got our status. No body. Right, because I think we need to read the body. Are there args here somewhere? There's our cow moo. I thought if we curl this guy. Cow equals moo. We might want to put those in quotes. So we can do JQ. Yeah, where's this args? That must be the whole body. So what if we... Ideally, we need to check more, but for the sake of getting a little end-to-end working, where is response? Need some docs. It's not what I wanted. You're not going to give me what I want. Discover packages. We want go requests. This guy, this is the one I'm using. Very nice kind of thing. Could get it as a string. Do we really need to read it all? No, we could get. Oh, we have it there. What are we doing with it? We're not reading it? Okay, for the time being, I know this is. Let's just do it right, actually. Cuetils been deprecated, so we need golang io. Read all. I think that should work. Print line, body. Okay, what we don't want to do is this for now. Okay, got the body. So now we need val context ding compile bytes. We can give this a better name in the future. Name better based on path in queue. Just mess up, just make more names. Maybe this should be a response. That is Jason, right? Should be. Nice. There we go. Got it out. I'm excited for that. Which means we should be able to come back over here go to our tests. What else are we printing that we don't need to print? Call task and request, CT run. It's one thing we could try. I think maybe we should. No, this is fine. This is fine. What we want is our test data. Let's try hashtag request, comma response. See if we can print two things. And we want pick to get our args cow string. And then let's add print out. We'll compile for good measure. Okay. S declared but not used. It doesn't work. Look at that. Well, all right. I mean, it printed just what we wanted, so that's good. But why isn't it printing? Oh, did we turn off printing down here? No. So why did it not print these? I wonder if that first one's failing. Okay, that works. Maybe print bump dot print line. Okay, it only has one right now. Let's come back here. Interesting. What if we do that? Okay, it doesn't like the pound sign. That's bizarre. I wonder if we do this. Okay, well, that worked. I guess definitions just need to have that quote. Interesting. Interesting. Nice. All right, chat. I think probably call it good there. Do y'all have any suggestions for who we should raid? This is me. Halloween categories. Pete's not live, is he? No. That is meta. Board need to code is our what we got going on. You're welcome, Pickle Light Bright. Thanks for stopping in. I wish I was scene playing Vault Hunters. Yeah, I don't know if you guys are fans of Minecraft or whatnot, but there's a super cool mod pack called Vault Hunters, and it's an SMP, and it's the coolest thing. Let me go. How do I raid? I don't think I've ever done this successfully. Yeah, here we go. Let's raid scene. Start raid. Is this working? Raid now. Are we there? I don't know.
So you can go there, and then do you have anything there for you? I know I picked a dank up. I think that dank was in this dank. There it is.
Is this working? I don't know.
Dr. Berm, Dr. Berm, thank you for the raid. Welcome. Welcome, everybody. Hi, my name is Zine. Happy to have you come by. Hopefully, you had a good stream. Ultrio, thank you for the 100 bits as well. Happy day to you as also. Okay, so that still has stuff. This one should not have stuff, right? Okay. Not. Pick up all. Put this in here.